Hello. I've restarted this video several times and it's because I'm so hesitant and nervous to talk about anything and everything. So first off, this video has a very specific audience in mind, and I don't usually have that with the videos that I make, but this is truly a follow-up to my When You Fail College Classes video that I made 2 years ago. I've made videos throughout the past 2 years talking a little bit about the situations and classes and experiences that I've had in the past 2 years. And every single term people come in and watch that video, mostly because they have also failed a class or multiple, and they respond to it. And before I start anything, I just really want to appreciate those people who have watched it and maybe shared it with other people, because it's nice to not feel so alone. I think of all of the comments, that is the most common sort of thing to say, is that I help them feel not so alone. And I think, the act of commenting and having another person read that also contributes to that relief. So thank you to the people who have watched that video. It means a lot to have support and for you to support others who are also watching. So, yeah. I'm hoping that this video will be a little bit of a summary of what has happened over the past 2 years, and considering that I've tried to do this so many times, I think that I'm just going to list sort of what happened in a sort of bullet point style, and at the end, or hopefully what will encompass most of this video, is the sort of steps that I've been taking to get through failure in that video, and also all of the failure that followed, and how you can fail at things and not feel like a failure, or have that feeling be so crippling all the time. So, that semester I failed 2 of my classes. The following semester, this is spring of my second year, I took a normal amount of units and I barely passed. At the end of that semester, I was crying to my parents on the phone, I was emailing my academic advisor, or staff advisor, technical terms, and I was messaging my counselor, and I was freaking out. I was panicking because I had already sort of stopped crying very early on during that semester, and it felt terrible. I can't deny that. And, it sort of cycled, like every semester/term, of saying, I hate what I did. I don't want to feel like this again. I'm going to try harder. And then sort of lowering my expectations and lowering my standards, and then not reaching those, and continually feeling disappointed. That was a big, important cycle during the past 2 years, and it was terrible, but I think that I've started to break out of it. So, that semester happened, barely passed my classes. During the summer, I started antidepressants and trying something for sleep, and I also tried going to therapy, but that didn't really work out. I retook the 2 classes that I failed, and I did work, and I did research. It was a mistake to do all 3 of those things. I should have just taken the classes, because I had once again spread myself very thin throughout the summer, and was convinced I was going to fail those classes again. But then I ended up passing them. So, during that spring and that summer, mostly what I felt was very lucky. I didn't feel proud of myself because I knew that the effort I should have put in was not there. So I went into my junior year again thinking I'm going to try very hard. And I did. I always start out trying very hard, and then things happen, and then I can't anymore. And so during the middle of that semester, pretty much right after the first set of midterms, I had a friend go through a very difficult time And it also affected me a lot because I tend to take on other people's emotional burden because I'm a very empathetic person, and that's something that I've worked more on since then. But during that semester, I was in band, work, research, and classes, and I had to drop out of work and research. I continued going to band because I convinced myself that I needed that social outlet, and I think it did help in some situations, and in other cases made it worse. But that's a whole other thing that's not relevant to my academic performance. And then academically, I sort of gave up again. So during that semester, I ended up withdrawing from a class. I was able to withdraw from that class using a letter from my counselor, and I gave that to my staff advisor, who then withdrew me from the class. I also earned a D in a major required course, and I remember I was also taking Filipino at the time, but I aced that one. But that also might have been because I talked to the professor and sort of really opened up about what was going on, and so she was very, very understanding. I did try particularly hard in that class, but it was also, like, in comparison to my chemistry classes that I was taking, it was easier for me to get through. So you can sort of excel in one thing and do really, really badly in another, and I think it's important to acknowledge that that's the case sometimes. Then the next semester I was like, well, at this point I'm going to graduate late, or something like that. And yeah, I ended up changing the grading options for my 2 major required courses from graded to pass, no pass. Normally that is not allowed, especially in the College of Chemistry, and the only reason I was able to do that, similar to the withdrawing from a course the previous semester, was having a letter from my counselor and giving that to my staff advisor. And my staff advisor actually gave me, some good information in that people need to take their time, and he allowed me to change the grading option so that I could continue to be enrolled in the class and accumulate all of the material in terms of like homework assignments along with their solutions and seeing the exams, and sort of just having, sort of like absorbing more lightly all of the information, such that without passing the class, like that was a condition that I had to meet. I had to not pass the class to take it the next year so that I could pass it, and take it as a graded option so that I would have to earn a C, B, or A, or whatever. So that was incredibly, incredibly kind of him, and I sort of want to highlight the importance of reaching out to your staff advisors and the people who are in charge of, your academic progress, because they have information like that they can give you if you ask for it and if they know that you fit the circumstances. So, hot tip. Yeah, and then, so that was this spring. I ended up not passing 2 classes, and I passed the other ones I was taking. And then this summer, I was only doing work and research. I did not do any classes, and it was honestly pretty damn good. I think it gave me a taste of sort of regular adult life after graduating, when you sort of just have a stable schedule from like Monday through Friday, and then at the end of the day, you don't take your work home with you. You don't have to worry about that. You can do what you want, and I watched Netflix and hung out with my friends and cooked, and it was great. And then school started, and I was like freaking out again. But sort of in the overlap between the end of summer and the start of school, I had started CBT, and I have a whole video about that if you are interested in cognitive behavioral therapy. But anyways, yeah, starting this semester, this is going to be like a whole other 5 minutes of just what this semester was and how much things have changed. During the start of the semester, I had a very big change in work ethic following sort of what I wanted to do in CBT and the goals that I had established. And I was pretty much working all of my spare time. I was doing it to the point where I felt guilty for socializing with other people, for seeing my friends and like going out to eat and spending time eating and cooking. I remember I was writing down logs for CBT because that's something that you might do if you are in that sort of therapy. And I wrote down like the time that I spent cooking, and I felt guilty because I thought I wasted all this time and I should have been studying so that I could have done better on this assignment, etc., etc. It was really, really bad. I knew that I wanted to do better, and I knew that the way to achieve those results was to work my ass off. And I did. I did work my ass off. And some of it paid off. Or I should say that, like, the work paid off. I got the results that I wanted. But that created sort of a bad correlation in my mind of having to put in 110% effort to get what I want. And it made me so scared to put in anything less than 110% effort. And that's how you burn out. So I burned out several times during this past semester, and eventually it got to the point where I was like, I need a break. Like, I cannot do this anymore. It was not sustainable to put in 110% effort all the time. And, you know, that kind of just slaps you in the face when you burn out, because you just feel so exhausted. And, you know, my friends would tell me, like, May, you've been working really hard. You should take a nap or something. And I felt like I just couldn't. During the end of the semester, I started giving myself more breaks, and it was okay. And, you know, I got through my midterms, I turned in my problem sets, and it was okay. So I finished my fall semester, and I've gotten my final grades back. I considered making this video before I got my grades back, because I think the way that I feel after this semester is way more important than the grades that I received. But now that I have received the grades, I can very thankfully say that I passed all of my classes. And, you know, one of them wasn't, like, super comfortably passed, but also, like, I'd gotten so many, I'd heard from so many people that it was the hardest class in that department. So I feel kind of good about passing it, because I know that a lot of people have not done very well in it. So I'm gonna give myself credit for that, give myself a little bit of that self-esteem boost. So I passed my classes, and what I feel right now is not, like, thank God I passed those classes. That is not the feeling that I have right now. The feeling that I have right now is that I know I worked really hard this semester. I know that I put in my effort to pick myself back up and feel like I was on top of things. And even more so than that, what I think should be your priority in getting an education is feeling like you've learned something, that you've made progress on something. And so one of the classes that I took this semester was Statistical Mechanics and Thermodynamics, which is a chemistry course. And I had taken that last year. It was a class that I withdrew from. And going through it this year, I felt like I learned. Like, I feel like I really learned something and absorbed it, and I could not be more proud about that. Like, I feel insanely proud for just knowing that I tried really hard. And I think that is so important. So, again, I don't know if this is going to be inspiring or reassuring, because I've still failed classes, I've withdrawn from them, I've like turn them into pass no passes and purposefully not pass them so I could take them again, which may be a little bit of cheating, but like not, you know, because it's the circumstances that I had, it's what I was suggested to do by my counselor and staff advisor, and I was, you know, following their direction and guidance, and they're trustworthy people because that's literally their job. That's what they're supposed to do, is help students. And I took advantage of that because I'm supposed to. So, yeah. Some other things, though, in terms of me being able to pass these classes, I quit band this semester, which was a hard decision to make, but it was necessary. I felt it was, because I knew that if I was going to put in 110% effort, like I was so determined to do that, I had to get rid of my largest time commitment, which was band. And also, keeping work and research was a lot easier for me because they have such strong application in my field. And so, in terms of me caring about myself and my future and my career, I wanted to keep those things, and I was able to and still pass my classes. So band kind of had to be thrown out for that. But in terms of units, I only took 9 units this semester, which is below a full-time student unit. And the reason I was able to do that is because I don't get financial aid, and so I don't really have any requirements for enrolling full-time because I don't get money. So that's kind of an issue that I know that I should acknowledge. And I have to say that it was important that I only took 9 units and was able to put in 110% for those 9 units. Because if I had enrolled in anything else, it would have been very, very difficult. So that is why I was able to put in the effort. So a lot of things have to do with putting yourself in a position to be able to do better. And I'm going to steal this, or not steal this, but I'm going to reference this from the Hannahlyze This podcast with Hannah Hart and Hannah Gelb. In one of the episodes, Hannah Gelb said that you have to be in a place where you believe that you can be better. And I was really only able to achieve that after doing CBT and putting in 110% effort at the beginning of the semester and getting the results that I wanted. And it was only after that point that I was able to start to say that I forgive myself for all of the failures that I've had over the past 2 years. Because those failures just eat at you so much. But if you don't have the capacity to forgive yourself, it just gets even worse. So I'm really thankful that I had the opportunity to have CBT in order to feel better about myself and learn how to deal with that failure more and the guilt that I had. Because I do still feel guilty very frequently. I still look back at those things and I say, why couldn't you just put in 110% effort like you did this semester? But the reality was that I wasn't in a place to think that I could do better, to think that things would get better. Like I'd given up. And it was really hard to get out of that. And I had to take baby steps of, going to a psychiatrist and going to a therapist and then figuring out I didn't like him and then seeing my counselor again. And then getting into this study where I could go to CBT and sort of slowly acknowledging that I was capable of doing the things that I wanted to do. Because I got sent to a very, very bad place after experiencing so much failure. And I had to very slowly get out of it. And I had to have a lot of help too. So there are a lot of things to unpack in this video, and I understand that this is really, really long, but I hope that for those of you who subscribed to see this video, that it was worth it. And yeah, I think what I want to end off with is more optimism, similar to that video, and that yes, things are a lot better right now because I put in all of that effort, and I know that I'm capable of that effort, and I believe that I can actually follow through with it. With this past semester that just happened. And so I think that I can do it again next semester. And I just have to be very aware of myself and know my tendencies and the sort of, I don't know, the signs of slipping back into that guilt and, I don't know, that sort of, that certainty of failure. There are things that I know happen, there are things that I know that I do when I feel like I'm slipping back into that, and I just have to see it, and I have to let someone else know so that they can help me, and I have to recognize that that's not a path that I want to go down, and I have the ability to not go down that path. I have the ability to do something small to push me back on track of where I want to go. It's so important to just believe in yourself a little bit. It's not like you're gonna make a 180 turn or anything, but you just turn a little bit back on track and eventually you can get there. And sometimes you need a little external help too. So, yeah. Anyway, I really believe that people are capable of getting back on track, of getting where they want to be, but sometimes it's just going to take a long time, and it's going to be difficult, and you're going to need help. But I think that's kind of how anyone in this world gets through anything. You know, it takes a little bit of hope and optimism. It takes belief that things can change. It takes belief that you can change. And it takes a little bit of collaboration between people also. So, this was a very long video. This is the longest that I've talked on this channel ever, but that's where I'm at right now. I passed my classes this semester, and I didn't barely pass them. I feel better about myself. I feel less guilty. I've forgiven myself for a lot of the choices that I've made. I feel capable of making better choices. And I hope that, I don't know, I know that a lot of people probably aren't in that position right now if they've just watched that video because they failed the class. But I hope you know that you can eventually get to feeling like that, and it will help you succeed. Just, you know, it's hard to count on that immediately, but know that it takes time, but you can get there, and I really believe that. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a good time wherever you are, and I will see you when I see you. Also, happy holidays.